Hi everyone, so I'm here today to share this Copic painting with you. It's called Moonlight Stroll and it's based on a painting taught at Pinot Palette, also called Moonlight Stroll. To start, we're going to take our C0 Copic marker and draw the horizon line about a third of the way up the page, and then we're going to take a 1/2 inch circle and we're going to trace that so that about 4/5 of the circle appears above the horizon line, because we're going to be, this painting is going to have a rising moon in the background. So after we kind of go around the edges with C0 a couple of times, we're going to take our B000 marker and we're going to continue tracing a little glow around the moon with that B000, and then we're going to build out the glow with a B00 marker, and then we're going to blend the edges together between the B000 and B00. Then we're going to take B21 and we're going to start building out our night sky. And again, we're just going to keep going in a circular motion around the moon. As you can probably tell by now, I love drawing the moon. It's one of my favorite things to draw. I just find it really relaxing, especially this action of just drawing the kind of halo around the moon. It's just really, really nice and soft and a repetitive motion. It just brings me a lot of comfort, and I hope if you try this painting, you'll feel the same way. Okay, so after we blend our B21 into the B00, we're going to put our next color into the night sky, which is B23, which is a really, really pretty bluish lilac color that I think it just adds a really nice element to the night sky. Then we're going to take our B24 and we're just going to start building the sky upwards. So we're going to stop at this point with the circular motion around the moon for the most part, and we're going to start just building the sky upwards, and then you'll see in a second we're going to go right across the page from left to right, so that at some point the strokes don't appear circular anymore in the painting. It's going to appear more just horizontal, left and right. And the reason I did this is because this is the way the original acrylic painting at Pinot Palette looks. This is the way the brush strokes look on that painting, so I wanted to follow it as much as possible. We're going to add a little bit of darkness and brightness to the night sky with B26, and we're going to go about maybe a little less than halfway down the sky with the B26, and then blend it out with the B24. And then we're going to go in with B28, which is going to be the darkest color we use in our night sky, and we're just going to put some streaks across the top third of the sky and then blend that out with B26. And then finally we're going to go back in with our B24 to mix everything together, and then we are going to go around the halo of the moon again just to blend all that in with our B24. And then after that we're going to go in one more time with the remaining colors that are surrounding the moon and just work our way from the outside inwards, just blending again with the B23 and then the B21, and then we're going to go to B00 and then finally B000. Now for the face of the moon, I'm doing something a little bit different from what you've seen me do here before. Usually my moons will only have cool grays or warm grays in the center. This time I wanted my moon to have a bluish hue, so we're gonna draw our little squiggles on the moon face with B000, and then we're gonna go over that with C0 just to kind of lighten up or dull the brightness of the blue. And we're going to add a few dots here and there, and then go around the edge with our colorless blender just to make sure there's a nice 1/4 inch border between the coloring of the moon and its outside edge, so that it doesn't kind of get lost in the night sky. And then I'm just going to keep kind of blending back and forth with my colorless blender until I get a nice soft look. All right, so for our forest floor, we're going to add the glow in the middle of the forest floor first with YG11 and then BG10. And for our forest floor, we're going to do an underpainting here. So after we get our glow colors in, our BG10, our BG11, we're going to start going in with some blues in the B30s. And then once we're done with that, then we're going to go over it with some very dark yellow greens, which is going to be the base, the actual color that our forest appears. I'd like to say I did this on purpose, but the first time I did this painting, I forgot that I was doing a forest and not an ocean. So as I was doing it, I was kind of just like mindlessly, oh, this is so pretty, it's an ocean. And then I looked back at the reference painting and realized, uh-oh, it's a forest. I gotta fix that. Forest isn't blue. So I went over it with the dark yellow greens, and it just turned out really beautiful. And having the blue kind of underpainting just lent this really brightness to the piece that I don't think would have existed otherwise. So it was like one of those, like Bob Ross says, happy little accidents. So here I am now putting the YG 90s over our blue base, keeping that center part pretty light because that's where our moon is glowing. And I'm just kind of going back and forth, keeping the darker YGs towards the outside, and then blending it all in with the lighter YGs. And when I'm talking about lighter YGs, I mean like YG 91, 93, and the dark ones are YG 97 and 99, and then the mid-tone is YG 95. Then once we're done with our dark ones, I went back in with YG 11 to make sure the center is bright. Now we're drawing in our little couple who is standing in front of the moon. And to do this, you don't have to be very precise. You just want to give the man a little head and have it like kind of like a triangle on top, and then just build his frame out so that, again, it's a long triangle, or it looks like a coffin a little bit, just so that it's broad at the top and then it's a shape that goes narrow at the bottom. And for the woman's dress, you're just going to, again, do a triangle so it's very, very narrow up top, and then it gets kind of broad at the bottom, and then you're just going to draw two little feet sticking out. For this guy, I gave him a hat at the end. I just thought he looked like someone who should be wearing a hat. So I'd like to hear from you. So what do you think this couple's story is? How did they end up in the middle of the forest in front of this beautiful moon? Do you think, are they an established couple? Are they a new couple? Are they strangers maybe? What do you think? Leave me a comment and let me know what you think their story is. And I will pick someone to send a box of cards to who, gives in the most interesting story for this couple. Okay, now we're drawing in the trees. So for the trees, we're gonna have trees at different distances. So to accomplish this, the trees that are higher up on the page are the ones that are in the distance. So we're going to draw those in with a lighter brown marker. So the lightest marker we're going to use is this E25. And as you see, I just kind of give them a little base on the bottom, and then I just flick my pen upwards and make the tree shape. And your trees they can have branches coming off them. They could just be a bunch of, trees with no branches that just kind of go up into the night sky. Whatever you're feeling, you just want to make sure that you don't cover up the moon or the couple. You want to keep the trees off to the edges. And I think it's a pretty good idea maybe to have about 3 to 4 in the E25, the light color on each side. Now we're going to start putting in trees that are more towards the forefront of the painting, and we're going to use a darker brown for this. We're going to use E27. And the reason we're doing this is because trees that are closer to us are going to appear darker, and trees that are farther from us are going to appear lighter and in the distance. And the way you achieve that effect is by making anything that's in the forefront of the picture a darker color than those that appear in the back. And also, you know, based on where you set it in the painting. So the trees that are closest to us are going to be the ones towards the bottom of the page, because if we're looking at it, those are the ones that we're going to see first. Okay, now we're putting in our first row of trees. These are the trees that are closest to us, so we're going to use our darkest brown marker here. And for this, I'm using E29. And E29 is probably my favorite color to use for trees when we're putting them into a dark background, just because it shows up really, really nice. It's like a nice, solid, dark, bright color that can stand up to a dark background. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just drawing in the trees that are in the forefront. And as you can probably already see, they're starting to, you can kind of see how they're appearing in the distance, that the ones that are closer and darker the ones that are closest to us are the darker ones, and the ones in the distance are the lighter ones. We're going to put a little shadow around our couple, and for that I just use C3 and C5, and then I'm going to go over it to blend it in with my YG11. Now I just want to make sure that that we're really getting the point across that this is a night scene. So I'm taking my C6 and I'm going to cover up the sides of the forest ground with that, and then blend it all in towards the middle with C3. So that entire forest floor is getting a coat of C3. And that's a trick to use, that whenever you want something to appear a little darker or duller, you can go over it with your gray markers and you can achieve an effect that way. It's not going to ruin the color under it. I wanted the forest path they're standing on to look a little kind of smoky and dreamy, so that's why I'm just kind of stippling my pen across the page, and I did that with the grays and the C3, and now I'm doing it with the YG93, and I'm going to do it with all of my dark YG colors, all the way from YG95 to 97 to 99, and this is just to give the painting a little bit of texture. You know, you could think of it, maybe there's some leaves that are have fallen on the ground, but for this particular rendition of the painting, I didn't put leaves on the trees above, so that might not be the answer, but it's more just think of it as a texture, just to kind of lend to the dreamy feel of the piece. That's what I was thinking, and also to make that glow in the center stand out a little bit more if there's some darker elements towards the forefront of the painting. Now I'm just adding a little shadow to the trees that are in the front with the C49, and to do that I'm just kind of going up one edge of the trees that are in the forefront, and those would be the trees that we colored in originally with E29, and I'm just going to go up one side and leave a little shadow. And the reason I chose the side I did is because that's the side farthest from the moon. Now to put the moon reflection onto the trees, I'm going to use a white gel pen, and I'm putting that reflection on the side of the tree that faces the moon, because that's where we would expect the moon to be hitting it. So I'm just going to pick a few trees here and there to add that little white glow. And I'm going to do the same thing along the forest ground. I'm just adding some little highlights here and there. Sometimes there's squiggles, sometimes it's a dot, sometimes it's a little faint line drawn across the page. Just kind of whatever you're feeling. Just let your white pen hit the page wherever it feels right, and I promise you'll be happy with your result. So there we have it. There is our first rendition of the painting. Now we're going to turn it into a card. I'm just putting on it a standard A2 size card base, and I'm using a sentiment from the Spellbinders June kit that says, "Let love light the way." And then to the left, this is another rendition I did of the painting. This one has the leaves on the trees, so I wanted to kind of show you what the effect is if you put the leaves on the tree or if you leave them off. And that again is another sentiment from the Spellbinders June kit. So thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you try this painting. It's a lot of fun, and I will see you again soon. Have a great day.